are found in heaven. Praise God. They appear in heaven. But watch, something interesting happens. We are here now. We're here. Tribulation saints raptured. They've gone. We're getting close to the ending part of the 7-year period. We're getting close. We're getting close. So, 6th seal is opened. Let's see what happens with the 6th seal. So you're in verse 12. Terrible things here now. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. I wish I could take you through several scriptures to show you something about this earthquake. It's a kind of earthquake that the whole world shook. Ever heard of that? We hear of earthquakes shaking cities. Now this is an earthquake that's going to shake the world. Oh. There was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as red. Oh, what's happening here? What's happening here? I'll show you in a second. I'll show you in a second. Next verse. And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Whew. Next verse. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Stop for a second. Stop for a second. Go to the book of Acts. Chapter 2 from verse 19. You remember when Peter was speaking on the day of Pentecost? He referred to this. At the outpouring of the Spirit had taken place for the salvation of men before this should happen. So he says, let's start from verse 17 so we'll enter properly. And it shall come to pass in the last days, said God, I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my Spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire. Notice, I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. Watch, the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before that great and notable day of the Lord come. Whew. So the 6th seal is open, and we see this is happening. What Peter said begins to take place. Go back to that verse 12. Revelation chapter 6, verse 12. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. We just saw it. And the moon became as blood. We just saw it. And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth. We just saw that. And think what the result would be. Let's read. Next verse, verse 14. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island. Why? What's happening? This is the final part of the judgment. It's the final part of the judgment. Listen, this is, I shouldn't say the final part of the judgment, because it's the final part of the 6th seal. Okay? But we're here within this little time that's left from this 6th seal. So much happens before we get into the 7th seal, and then the trumpets begin. That I told you we're going to be discussing the 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 plagues. I said, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be here after the rapture. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. Go back to that verse. Just see the picture